The air in the lawyer's office was thick enough to cut with a knife. My older brother Mark sat across from me, a smug grin plastered on his face. Ever since our father passed away, he'd been acting like he'd won the lottery. We were here for the reading of the will, and Mark was making it painfully clear he expected to get everything. I, on the other hand, was just trying to hold it together. Dad and I had been close, especially after Mom died. He was my rock, my biggest supporter. Losing him felt like losing a part of myself. The lawyer, a stern-looking man named Mr. Harrison, cleared his throat and began to read. He went through the usual legal jargon, bequeathing small family heirlooms to distant cousins and making a donation to Dad's favorite charity. I could feel Mark getting more and more impatient, tapping his expensive leather shoes on the plush carpet. Finally, Mr. Harrison got to the main part of the estate. To my eldest son, Mark, he read, I leave the sum of $100,000. Mark's grin widened. He leaned over and whispered, just loud enough for me to hear, "See, told you, you won't get a dime." He chuckled, a low, nasty sound that made my stomach churn. I stared straight ahead, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a reaction. I hadn't come here expecting a fortune. I just wanted this to be over so I could go home and grieve in peace. Mr. Harrison continued, I also bequeathed to Mark my collection of antique watches, which I know he has always admired. Mark puffed out his chest, looking like the king of the world. He shot me a triumphant look, as if to say, I won. Then the lawyer paused, adjusted his glasses, and looked directly at me. The room fell silent. And now, he said, his voice carrying a new weight, we come to the remainder of my estate. Mark leaned forward, his smugness replaced by a flicker of confusion. The remainder was the bulk of Dad's wealth, his successful construction company, the family home, his investment portfolio. It was worth millions. To my youngest child, Mr. Harrison read, and I could hear the warmth in Dad's written words, who stood by me, cared for me, and showed me unwavering love and support, not just in my final years, but throughout their life. I leave the entirety of my company, Harrison Construction, the family residence located at 123 Oak Lane, and all remaining assets, stocks and bonds. The air was sucked out of the room. Mark's jaw dropped. He literally looked like a cartoon character. What? He sputtered, his face turning a blotchy red. That's impossible. There must be a mistake. I was in shock. I couldn't process it. My head was spinning. Me. He left it all to me. I looked at Mr. Harrison, who gave me a small, reassuring nod. Mark jumped to his feet, pointing a trembling finger at the will. This is a joke. He must have been senile. I'm the one who knows the business. I'm the son. She knows nothing. Mr. Harrison held up a hand. Please be seated, Mr. Harrison. There is one final clause. Mark, fuming, reluctantly sat back down, his whole body tense with rage. The lawyer cleared his throat again. This decision was not made lightly. He read the words clearly, "Our fathers." I have watched both my children grow. I have seen their true characters. The $100,000 and the watches are for Mark as a final gift. However, and here the lawyer paused for effect, this inheritance for him is contingent upon one condition. Mark scoffed. What condition? I'll do anything. Mr. Harrison looked at him over the rim of his glasses. The clause states that Mark is to receive his inheritance only if he publicly apologizes to his sibling for years of emotional neglect, mockery, and for the disrespect he showed in my final days by failing to visit or even call. The silence that followed was deafening. Mark's face went from red to a pale, sickly white. Publicly apologize. To me, his pride was everything to him. The idea was clearly more painful than losing the money. Furthermore, the lawyer continued, his voice firm, the apology must be deemed sincere by a neutral third party, whom I have already designated. Should he refuse or the apology be found insincere, his entire inheritance, the $100,000 and the watches, will be forfeited and added to the portion left to my younger child. Mark was speechless. He just sat there, opening and closing his mouth like a fish out of water. All the bravado, all the smug confidence had vanished. He looked at me, his eyes wide with a mixture of hatred and disbelief. He'd laughed in my face, so sure of his victory, so sure I'd get nothing. And now his entire inheritance, small as it was compared to mine, hinged on him humbling himself before me. The lawyer continued, now reading a personal note from Dad addressed to me. My dearest child, I know you never asked for any of this. Your heart is pure, and that is why I trust you with my legacy. You have the strength, the compassion, and the integrity to lead the company and care for our family's assets. Mark was always focused on the money, but you were always focused on the people. That's the difference. I know you will do great things. Use this to build a life you love. You deserve it. All my love, Dad. Tears streamed down my face, but this time they weren't tears of grief. They were tears of validation, of love. Dad saw me. He really, truly saw me. Mark finally found his voice. This is ridiculous. I'm contesting this. I'll see you in court. He stormed out of the office, slamming the door so hard the pictures on the wall rattled. Mr. Harrison folded the will and placed it back in its folder. He looked at me with kind eyes. Your father was a very wise man, he said softly. He knew exactly what he was doing. As I walked out of that office, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't about the money or the company. It was about knowing my father's love and trust in me was absolute. He had given me more than an inheritance. He had given me my confidence back. Mark had laughed and told me I wouldn't get a dime. But Dad had the last laugh, and in the end, I got something far more valuable than money. I got justice and the chance to honor my father's legacy in a way that would make him proud. And as for Mark's apology, let's just say I'm not holding my breath. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever felt underestimated, remember that your true worth isn't determined by what others think, but by your own character and actions. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.